welcome to episode 135 of the Inside Byte. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey, I'm doing great. I feel pretty accomplished this week. I got a lot of game progress. So it's a rare one of those where you beat 2 games in 1 week, which I don't remember the last time I've ever done that. Not 1 week necessarily, but since the last time we talked, I'll say.
Yeah, nice.
I feel pretty good about that one.
Spider-Man 2. What's the other?
Final Fantasy, just because I don't feel like I really got a chance to. Honestly, I can't remember if I talked. Did I have a chance to really talk about Final Fantasy, the end of it, since the last time?
I mean, you said you were either you were about to beat it. Yeah, I'm guessing it was that. It's like, oh, I'm like you were an hour or two away or something like that.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, so I think that's why I was looking forward to today to talk on some thoughts. So okay, I know okay. I know I had briefly mentioned to you, but I haven't had a chance on the podcast to say anything. So
okay, normal week for me. Just got a bunch of concert interview stuff done, but in terms of anything gaming, I mean, I'm playing the same stuff. I mean, Persona 3 is going to take me a while till I have that done. I think I'm probably going to beat it by the time 7 Rebirth comes out and then hop over to that. But yes, Helldivers 2, I saw you're like, hey, went ahead and got it. I have been thinking about it a lot, and I'm probably going to get as well.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like could be a good opportunity for a game that we can play together, or I know there's a bunch of other people. And it seems like the kind of game you can kind of just jump in and jump out, so yeah, I don't know. But it's so popular that apparently we might not even be able to play anytime soon with these servers are so packed, I guess. I don't know.
I see that that's not really much of an issue anymore. I don't know. I can't tell. I know at initial launch, like, it was rough. And then I presume everything's good because multiple people are, like, playing and having fun. I'm not really seeing too many stories. But I have seen, like, from, like, 1 or 2 people being like, yeah, try to connect. It's still saying not allowing me to connect to servers. So I'm unsure on its status, if it's still just bad or maybe it's getting better and not, like, completely good and all of that. But there's no story revolving around Helldivers 2 this week. But, apparently he's doing really good, selling good numbers. Let's see, I mean, if there's any numbers even listed. I mean, it just came out.
Yeah, and as per the server stuff, I know a few people who are still having trouble, like, they're sitting there waiting to get in. They haven't had a chance to go in. But that's only from talking to a few people. I don't know overall how it's doing.
Okay, so it's sold over 2 million so far. Nice. It's number 1 on Steam right now. Apparently passed over 400,000 congruent players on Steam, which is fantastic. So it's getting a lot of traction. A lot of people seem to really be liking it. The reviews, they looking to be like low 80s, but that doesn't really mean too much.
Sure.
But apparently it's fun. I mean, it doesn't have a campaign. I know that much. It's strictly multiplayer. It's not meant to even have a campaign or even have much of a story at that, other than just leaning into the goofy, yes, sir, I'll die for you, sir, kind of Star Trek Troopers kind of approach there.
I will say I did see briefly as I'm closing the game now, it said servers at capacity or something like that, but I don't know.
Actually, this was just posted 15 minutes ago that it just reached over 400,000 congruent players on Steam, like I was saying, and the 21st highest peak in a game in Steam history.
It's crazy.
Number 1 game on PlayStation, above Fortnite and Call of Duty. So, seems to be popping off pretty hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Cool.
It's pretty crazy, man. I mean, I know that PlayStation had already said, hey, our multiplayer games will be on PC day 1, fine. But obviously, for me, I hope that this will push them even further. Like, hey, look how well our game is selling. Our game that was an exclusive on PS5. Why don't we try that with our other exclusives? Why not?
I don't see them doing it. I just don't.
Well, you're probably right, but
like,
man,
I don't know, a God of War or something. I don't see.
Right.
or the next, I don't know, Last of Us. But I could, yeah, a multiplayer game makes sense. You want as many players as possible.
Right.
But I think PlayStation's still in the business, unlike I talked last week on maybe Xbox, or a lot of people thinking Xbox wasn't. It was a whole lot of nothing. Which, what do you think about that? I mean, I talked on it last week myself, but uh,
Mhm.
the fact that it was literally it was not much at all. It was like, oh, here's like 4 games that are going to go multi-plat. Nothing even too serious. It was like, now they didn't even say what the 4 games were, but a lot of people, um, big names that would clearly know what they were, and they gave some hints or something like that. But basically, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, and Pentiment, which are all in that vein of either it was sitting there for a while, it sold everything it needed to sell, or it's like an online multiplayer game, and the more players, the better kind of thing.
Sure.
But they aren't trying to release that next big exclusive single player thing. Like, they still want people to come to the console to buy for that. And the same as we're just saying here with PlayStation, I don't see them doing that either, because I do think that would hurt in console sales.
Yeah, it could.
So I think they're just thinking everything through on that approach. But
Sure.
now, do I want it? Sure, of course.
Oh, of
But
course, yeah.
yeah, I don't see it though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Anyway. But yeah, Helldivers 2 's popping up, looking great. I guess, you just got it, so we'll hear thoughts on it next week. And
Yeah, just
then
download it.
me, myself, I don't know. It pretty much like if I beat Persona 3 and I have some in between time there, I know it's a multiplayer game, but I'm still just trying to find pockets of gaming, period, whether it's single player, multiplayer, whatever. So when I do, I'm definitely like really stuck on this Persona, so I'm just gonna keep playing that. But maybe I'll beat it and have a week or two gap there and jump on that, because $40, pretty cool,
Yeah, not too
just
bad.
multiplayer. So most should be able to juggle that with anything else and not really interfere with anything, because somehow we're still running with this, and it's been a long time of so many games so often of like big titles that I like really badly want to play, and they just keep popping up. So
Sure.
we're still on that insanity. It has yet to really slow down. I mean, we had like what, 1 month where it was like kind of slow a little, but even that not really. Anyway, I want to get
Yeah.
into the Dice Awards, because we actually got the winners. We talked on
Yeah.
it a few weeks ago when they had the nominees, and so
Yes.
figured we might as well just run through and see what actually won here. The
Sounds
real
good.
Game Awards.
Right, right.
No. Before we even get into the list of winners, though, Nintendo's composer Koji Kondo was introduced into the AIAS Hall of Fame during the ceremony, so that's neat.
AIAS. I don't even know if I've heard of that.
Yep,
AIAS Hall of Fame during the ceremony.
I don't know,
Let's,
but
let's see.
he got some recognition for his mad music skills, as he should. So.
I mean, yeah, very talented, obviously.
American
Academy of
Institute.
Interactive. Yeah, I just
Okay.
pull it up too. I don't know if this is Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame inductees. I don't.
There's a lot of different ones showing up.
Oh, well, you know what? This one that I just read, Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame inductees. I see names like Todd Howard, Hideo Kojima, so this has got to be it, I would assume.
Okay.
So interesting. All right, didn't know what that stood for.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm looking through, because that post that was like 15 minutes ago of saying that it hit over 400,000 congruent players. A lot of people in the comments are saying, yeah, servers are still acting up. So I guess that's still a thing and a struggle.
Gotcha.
Now, this game was started development 8 years ago. So this wouldn't necessarily fall into that games as a service initiative that started more like 3 or 4 years ago. This just happened to fall in line with it just because it's online multiplayer only, and after them talking on all of this. But they could have included it into their 10. I assume as the build the list, why not would they include that? But I just don't, it's not quite sure if like this is going to be something they're going to be like regularly maintaining, trying to go years down the road, or if it's just going to be one of those like, oh, a fun one-off or a multiplayer online shooter co-op kind of thing, right?
Right.
Because it's hard to really know because it's co-op only too. So it's like, how far can you really run with that?
Sure.
But I think you can take any idea and run with it if you just do a good enough
Oh, yeah.
job. But besides the point, you would think it would take a little more than just co-op play to make something, a 5-year plan for it or something
Sure.
like that. So I don't know if it's quite like we need to be thinking of Helldivers in that level. But
Right.
anyway,
Right.
let's get into these DICE awards. Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. And actually, it won the 3 biggest ones here. So, Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, Baldur's Gate 3, and Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, Baldur's Gate 3. Which, again, I wish we knew the difference between any of these. What's game
As
design?
always.
What's game direction? Like, what defines the
Yep.
two there? But anyway.
We'll
And
never
then
figure out the
Spider-Man
answer
with a
to that.
bunch of here, if you want to read them off, there's quite a bit.
Sure. Yeah. So, outstanding achievement animation, Spider-Man 2. Outstanding achievement art direction, same. Outstanding achievement in character, uh, Miles Morales
No,
and
no,
Spider-Man
Alan
2.
Wake 2. I didn't notice
Oh
Alan Wake
shoot!
2
I read
actually
that
won
so
art
quick. It just looked
direction,
like Spider-Man
right?
2.
Because it was in the mix with so many other
Right.
Spider-Mans. Yeah.
Okay. So, outstanding achievement art direction, Alan Wake 2. Very cool. I'm actually glad to see that. Let's see. Okay, we got the art direction for Alan Wake. Outstanding achievement, art direction, Alan Wake 2. Outstanding achievement in character, which is Miles Morales. Outstanding achievement in original music composition, Marvel Spider-Man 2. They also got outstanding achievement in audio design for Spider-Man 2. Yeah, took home a bunch there.
Yeah.
Uh, achievement in story, Baldur's Gate 3. Outstanding technical achievement, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Game of the year, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Adventure Game of the Year, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Family Game of the Year, that's always a funny one. Super
Yeah.
Mario
Yeah.
Bros. Wonder. Fighting Game of the Year, Street Fighter 6. Racing Game of the Year, Forza Motorsport. RPG Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3, no surprise there. Sports Game of the Year, MLB The Show, 23. Strategy Simulation Game, Dune Spice Wars. Online Game of the Year, Diablo 4. Immersive Reality Technical Achievement, Horizon Call the Mountain. Immersive Reality Game of the Year, Asgard's Wrath 2. I remember you tried that one.
Yeah.
And Outstanding Achievement for an Independent Game, Cocoon. And Mobile Game of the Year, What the Car. Never heard of that. Have you tried that? What the
I
Car? I
played
don't even
What
know
the
what that is.
Golf and loved it.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So I do want to play that. But yeah.
Interesting. All right, seems like some really good games got recognized. It's always good to see. So
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man 2 hardly got any awards on the Game Awards.
yeah,
I don't know how else to title that because that is how they title it. But this is the DICE Awards, a little different. But there wasn't too
right.
much Spider-Man 2 stuff, but there was a lot more in here. So that's neat. But yes, I don't know. I don't really have too much more to say on that.
Sure.
Persona 3 Reload, the fastest selling Atlus title of all time. Persona 3 Reload sold 1 million copies worldwide within its first week, becoming the fastest selling game in Atlus history. A huge thank you to our community for your incredible support. We look forward to breaking more records with you.
Very
So
cool.
that happened. Again, I've been playing it, loving it. We'll get more into that later. Do you know about this Funimation stuff going down? Because it is a little wild.
I did hear about this briefly, but yeah, just to get some more info here. So for Funimation anime streaming service is shutting down and Crunchyroll is raising its prices. I like how they just both at the same time happened.
Yeah.
For Funimation subscribers, you have to go through the process of merging your account before the April 2nd date. And any shows that were outright purchased through Funimation will not transfer to Crunchyroll. Yeah, I know people were a little concerned about this. It sucks, obviously, and also the prices being raised on the only other major one, I would say.
Now, the biggest thing out of this that isn't written here is all of your purchase, not all, the majority of your purchases on Crunchyroll, or sorry, on Funimation, are going away because Crunchyroll is absorbing Funimation, and during the process of that, it looks like most of the purchases aren't being able to be transferred over, and that's the biggest problem of it all because Funimation, which many levels here. First, Crunchyroll used to just be some like pirate website for you to like stream anime without having to pay for it, and now it's become this juggernaut to where now they're not even say accepting payments of stuff you've already purchased
Yeah.
from Funimation as it absorbs into it, which is a pretty big deal. Funimation, I mean, it's been around since what, late 80s, early 90s.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. And the very moment digital purchases became a reality for that platform, I mean, you're talking millions of purchases made within that. So the fact that they're not able to do such a thing, and this is just more and more becoming a reality of digital purchases is sort of going away and all this bigger talk as a whole. Yeah, I'm always going to think it's bad. I'm always never going to think that it's like okay or should be ignored or whatever like that. On like a personal level, I don't know. I don't really buy much digital media. Like gaming, but outside of that, I don't really buy like shows and movies and stuff like that. The amount of times I have has got to be less than like a dozen.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Like you said, on a personal level, it doesn't really do anything to me, but I understand why people are concerned about it or bothered by it.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't sway my opinion at all, though, in terms of just buying everything digital. I don't know.
Well, do you buy? I mean, again, gaming. Yeah, we know that.
I mean, yeah,
no. Do you buy digital stuff outside of that? I don't.
Only time I ever buy anything like this is if I want to watch something, I don't have the option to rent it. I only have the option to buy it, and I can't get a good version of it, let's say online or something, then I'll be like, okay, whatever, just out of convenience. Like I have a few YouTube movies that I've bought just because I wanted to watch it, but it's not something I'm active. If they were to take that away one day, I'd be like, okay, whatever. I already saw it, So, yeah, it doesn't really bug me too much, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it would only be annoying if you like were going into that mindset being like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of purchases from this specific place, and then they shut down, and I had hundreds of purchases. Now all of a sudden, I'd be upset.
Yep.
But again, like TV shows, movies, I actually do buy some of it physical. Like I don't know, I bought The Office and Parks and Rec forever ago back on DVD. Because I wanted all the extras and stuff like that. I've bought like plenty of like 4K Blu-rays. I probably have about 20 to 30 of them just because they look so great.
I bought a handful of those too. Yep.
And there definitely is a difference between like streaming 4K and actually getting a native true 4K. And more than just the video, the audio is always far superior if you're using the physical media. So on that approach, that's but yeah, I'm just streaming anything that I'm watching for the most part. If I can't stream it, I'll find a way to stream it. Sure. I'm really not interested in purchasing any of this stuff.
Yeah. I agree. There was at one point where I kind of was sort of buying things like that, and then eventually I was like, you know what? I don't know if I really need to be doing this, So, but I do agree with you that when you buy the 4K discs, you can really get some way higher quality, So there was a handful that I bought like that. So
okay, well, moving on. So, Epic Games and Walt Disney Company have announced a new collaboration that will result in the joint creation of an all-new games and entertainment universe. Alongside the partnership, the Walt Disney Company is investing $1.5 billion to acquire an equity stake in Epic Games. The multi-year project aims to create an all-new universe that spans the various Disney properties, including Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Avatar, and more. Disney says players will be able to create their own stories and experiences, share content, and express their fandom in experiences powered by Unreal Engine. Our exciting relationship with Epic Games will bring together Disney's beloved brands and franchises with the hugely popular Fortnite in a transformational new games and entertainment universe. This marks Disney's biggest entry ever into the world of games and offers significant opportunities for growth and expansion. We can't wait for fans to experience the Disney stories and worlds they love in groundbreaking new ways. So if you look at
All
that
right.
image up there, you'll get a better sense of what they're trying to do,
Yeah.
because they're not just trying to put their content inside of Fortnite as it is. What they're
Right.
trying to do is, you have like the new Lego Fortnite, or you have these new like side things that run along with the client, but isn't a part of the sort of battle royale mode. So
Right.
I'm assuming one, the majority of reason of that is just they don't want to throw Mickey Mouse in there with an AK-47. But more than that, maybe is just the fact of, well, they've tried many times to invest in different, like, I don't know, meta things to try to like make money from their properties. But Fortnite, I guess it's just not going away anytime soon. And it has been such a big thing for so long now. I mean, maybe it has been like 10 years at this point. It's been close to it, I guess. I don't know. It's been a
Has to have been
while.
by now.
So instead of, why not just invest in one of the biggest things and throw your IPs up in there? And people throw tons of money into Fortnite. And at this point, as much as I'm whatever on Fortnite, at least I could say, is it a good investment? No, but is it smart in terms of, it's not going anywhere? Like if you buy skins in this compared to buying skins in, let's say, foam stars, your skins are,
Sure.
you're not going to lose them anytime soon, and you're not going to
Yeah.
lose any
Yeah.
content
Agreed.
anytime soon. So maybe, if you are going to purchase stuff, like it's not the worst thing in the world, let's say, to be buying
Yeah.
Disney stuff inside of something as well established as this, compared to whatever Disney, what was it? They released little life sim thing like they try to do multiple times at this point, but there's a current one, Disney Starlight. I forget the name of it. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
this, I could see actually really taking off for them and people feeling like the purchases aren't just going to go away tomorrow.
Yeah. I agree. And honestly, I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner because it's like Fortnite is so huge. Like you said, it's not slowing down anytime soon. People are very aware of this game. Even companies that don't have anything to do with video games. So, yeah, I think this makes sense. For them to eye them and say, okay, let's take some of our huge amounts of money, and it even says like right there that they are buying a stake in their company too, right? Like I could see this happening. So
Now, the fact that they have this image here, which is key because, again, they're separating from the Battle Royale map and they're trying to show all these different parks that they're building into like virtual worlds. So, what exactly are they trying to do here? Is it like, oh, you can take a virtual park, walk through one of our parks, or check out all the. Maybe they make like different mini game type things with their IP that you can sort of experience. I'm a little confused on maybe what the vision here they're seeing. Maybe almost like, instead, immersive experiences in different, like a Spider-Man world or something like that you maybe like watch or play in or something. I mean,
sure.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
imagining
curious to
stuff
see.
like that.
Right, right. I'm curious to see how they pull it off. So
Almost like
yeah.
Disney Infinity, right? But now inside of Fortnite.
Yep.
Because you
Yep.
can build whatever worlds with Fortnite engine as of like a year ago. People being able to like now like use whatever Unreal assets and build their own games inside of Fortnite is now a reality. And so they're going to use that same thing, but Disney's going to be like taking a charge with, their money and assets and all of that. So that's how I'm imagining this going, is basically a Disney Infinity kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I could see that. Doesn't it feel like Disney Infinity was like a lifetime ago? Like, I almost forget.
Yeah, yeah. Which the name does not age well.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah,
You
oh man. All
know,
right.
it'd be
Well.
funny if they just actually called it Disney Infinity
Oh
inside of
yeah. Just
here, so they could
Yep.
keep it
Yep.
going. See,
That'd be funny.
it is
There you go.
Infinity.
You guys need to pay Tim for that idea to take it. So. All
All
right,
right.
next up, Respawn is developing a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game. Very cool. Insider gaming sources have revealed that Respawn Entertainment is developing a first-person Star Wars Mandalorian game that is in its early stages of development. According to sources, the game will see the player take control of a Mandalorian bounty hunter, unclear who, set during the time when the Galactic Empire is dominating across the galaxy. Your job as a bounty hunter to capture bounties dead or alive for cash rewards. As first reported by VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, the game is being led by a Respawn creative director, Mohammed Alavi, who left the studio to pursue his next adventure. According to Grubb, who didn't disclose it was a Star Wars game at the time, but has recently, the game will be focused on mobility and style as guiding principles. But here's an update. Sources have since revealed that Alavi was not directing this game, and instead was directing a canceled Apex Legends game, which is first reported by Bloomberg. The game's high mobility has been made possible storytelling-wise thanks to the Mandalorian's jetpack. Okay, that makes sense. Which allows the player to perform horizontal dashing, vertical jumping, boost sliding, somewhat similar to sliding down hills in Apex Legends, and more. Sources describe the game as very fast-paced, and as such will reward players who play in this style. For example, players' health will mainly regenerate based on successive kills. As to be expected, playing as a Mandalorian bounty hunter gives the player a wide variety of weapons and gadgets, including a wrist rocket, grapple hook, a visor for tagging enemies and bounties, and more. It's understood that this game will not be an open world and have linear levels taking place on a variety of different planets in the Star Wars universe. While it's unclear when the game will be released, it was said we're still a year or two away at the very least. It's currently unclear if the game will have a multiplayer experience or not. All
I
right,
kind of
cool.
hope it does have a multiplayer
I
experience.
hope so too. I feel like
Yeah.
this could be. I'm picturing like kind of like a Halo thing. You all go in as some bounty hunter, whatever, and then you just, you have your gadgets, you got your jetpack, you can pick things up. It could be cool, I think, if they pull it off right.
I mean, I do want a full, big, awesome campaign,
Of course,
but
yeah.
I would love, like, maybe there's a side mode of, like, extraction shooter, because in this type of game, that would work really well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Agreed.
But yes, I mean, I mean, if it's anything like Titanfall, I'll take it. So, it's kind of where I'm at there. But, yeah, sounds cool. I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
I'm just tired of hearing about stuff too early. I know it's not even official or anything, but I don't want to know anything. You know, give me a few months notice on anything, please. Rumors as well. That's stupid, I know, but
Yeah.
all right. Ys 10 Nordics sails to the west this fall. Ys 10 Nordics, the latest entry in the long-running Ys series, is making its way to the west. Nordic stars a younger version of the series hero Adol Kristen, embarking on an adventure in the Obaliha Gulf, a collection of northern islands. He finds himself thrown in the middle of a conflict between the island's residents and a sea farming tribe, as well as mysterious immortal monsters called the Griegers. Adol joins a Norman warrior named Kajara to sail the seas aboard a ship, including exploring an open ocean and engaging in naval combat. Ys 10 Nordics was first revealed in Japan last September and will come stateside this fall and be available on PlayStation 5, 4, Switch, and PC. I've played
You've played some
three
of them, right?
Ys games in the series. The last one was it was Ys 8, and I played it on Switch, but it ran at like 30 FPS on there, and then I ended up like buying again on PS4 just so I could play at 60. But that was a good game. I don't know. I like they're never like you can tell not a money is being poured into them, right? You can tell they probably spend somewhere between like I don't know, let's say I'm trying to think of a good guess here. Maybe, maybe 500,000 to make, and maybe they make 1 million in sales, and then maybe that's
Sure.
kind of where they're at there. Which again, we know the very high end of this would be like The Last of Us Part Two, and even that was years ago. Was
Right.
like 200 million is what it took to make such a game like that. So even though 1 million may sound like a lot, it really isn't when it comes to stuff like this. But they usually sell like, let's say 500,000 copies. $60 a pop. You get a few million back. You maybe spend 500,000 making, and that's kind of how I'm seeing that work out. But they're good games. Same thing. Like they also, it's Falcom, and they make the Tales series as well. Not Tales, Trails. Sorry.
Oh, the trails. Yeah.
And there's so many damn like entries of that where like I can't even believe I'm watching One Piece right now, much less want to play Trails. So that's kind of how I feel on that. But
Oh, One Piece.
it makes me think of like all those Marvel movies coming out, right? And it all led into like Endgame and then Infinity War, all that. And it makes me think once all that was over, all the films after I see obviously dropping tremendously in like audience views and all that. But I wonder if there's still just like the hardcore people watching everything, trying to still splice the timelines together and really trying to make sense of the whole piece. And, like what are they on their, what, fourth or fifth era at this point or
I mean,
something?
yeah, there's somewhere like that.
It's
Probably
like,
fifth base
I
five, I
think
think.
people have just kind of stopped caring.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not. It's definitely not like it was when Thanos was like everyone was waiting to see what he was gonna do and all
Yeah,
that, like
yeah.
the Avengers and all. Obviously, yeah, not how it was for sure.
Anyway, um,
All right, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth State of Play dives deep into world exploration, side content, character relationships. So they had a state of play for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Square Enix gives us new details for what to expect when it arrives later this month. The game continues to impress with each passing look, earning a spot as the most anticipated game at the Game Awards 2023. By the way, I will say I didn't watch this video. At first, it wasn't on purpose. It was just I was busy that day. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just play the demo, and I think I'll leave it there. I don't need to see anything else. But that being said, the world of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is broken into various regions, which seamlessly blend into one another. After the intro sequence, players enter into the grasslands, a grassy area south of Midgar. From there, you can travel to Junin, a vast open area in the shadow of Shinra's military. This area also features chocobos that can climb up cliff sides. The game also includes Coral, which features the touristy beach town of Costa del Sol, the massive playground known as Gold Saucer, and the dusty portion of the region to the south. The Gongaga region allows you to explore Zack's hometown and explore the Mako reactor. The Cosmo Canyon region lets you learn more about Red 13's roots and glide around on special chocobos. The Nibel region lets you relive Cloud and Tifa's younger days and visit Shinra Manor. Finally, Meridian Ocean allows you to explore the waters. As you explore, you can assist Chadley with side quests to let him develop new material. Is Chadley, was that his name in the first game too? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Because
it's
that
the
name stands out to me. I
VR
remember the
dude.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
the VR dude. Okay. These world intel quests sometimes require you to wrangle chocobos or play with mooglets. They also include exploration tasks like unlocking the secrets of divine entities in their sanctuaries or fighting powerful monsters in optional layers. There's even a proto relic investigation sequence that transports the cast to look closer to their appearances in the original game. Though it's uncertain if each I can't say this, proto relic investigation will include this gimmick. As the stream said, each will include different characters and objectives. What we do know is that once you recover all the proto relics, something big will happen. Odd jobs are also scattered worldwide, allowing you to learn more about the world and its inhabitants. These odd jobs will also strengthen Cloud's bond with his party members. Oh, that's like a persona kind of idea there.
yeah, yeah.
These sometimes pay homage to classic storylines in the original game or expand beyond the scope in exciting ways. If you're concerned about moving on from a region before finishing all the side content, don't fret. Square Enix assures players story progression won't affect your ability to complete side content. As director Naoki Hamaguchi stated in the presentation, this freedom to experience the story how you want is one of Rebirth's greatest strengths. Completing side quests, fighting alongside your party, and choosing different dialogue options will improve your relationship with your party members, which can influence you on who to take on a date in the Golden Saucer. On top of that, characters can also develop deeper relationships with one another, raising your party level. As your party level rises, you can unlock more skills in the character's folios, Rebirth version of the skill tree. You can reset the character's folios anytime. Speaking of Golden Saucer, that fan favorite location, it really is a fan favorite. I mean, who doesn't like that part of
Yeah.
the game? Has plenty of mini games to offer, including Chocobo Racing, G-Bike, and 3D Brawler. Each has been remade from the ground up. Fans can even take part in Star Fox-esque space battles, gallery shooting, and what looks like soccer against chocobos. Others, like riding dolphins and performing in the military parade, have been fleshed out substantially in Rebirth. And of course, the card battler, Queen's Blood, is one that director Naoki Hamaguchi recommends players check out. From the graphical perspective, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth continues to impress. The second entry in the remake trilogy delivers more and higher quality cinematic storytelling content than its 2020 predecessor. Rebirth takes full advantage of the PS5's SSD to deliver high-resolution textures faster than ever before. This entry includes a graphics mode, which delivers 4K resolution, and a performance mode, which offers constant 60 frames per second performance. By the way, I saw they put out a patch to
Yeah, I
address
was
some
gonna
issues
mention
people
that.
had with that, which I'm really happy to see because I did play it in the performance mode.
And I noticed the drop.
Yeah. Oh
No,
yeah.
how do I put
It
this?
wasn't.
It
It wasn't
wasn't
something where I was like
terrible,
crazy,
but I
right?
did notice it.
I did
Like,
notice it though. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The music aims to pay respect to the original tracks while also expanding to include new tracks that accentuate the feeling of the new scenes. Square Enix recorded well over 400 new tracks for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So if you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII music, you're in luck with Rebirth. Excuse me. As you move through the world and progress through the story, you utilize the various abilities of the party members as you control different characters. Barret can shoot objects others can't reach. Yuffie can swing across gaps. Tifa can grapple up ledges. Red 13 can climb up walls. Kate Sith can pick up and throw items. And Aerith can manipulate the life stream. All these abilities will allow players to solve various environmental puzzles and further explore the world. And of course, each character has special synergy abilities with one another, further showcasing not only the character's unique abilities, but their bonds with one another. The state of play ended with news that a demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is available now. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth arrives on February 29th on PS5. I mean, that all sounds fantastic. I'm very excited, so
Well,
looking forward to it.
I'm gonna mention this: Marvel Spider-Man 2, New Game Plus, new suits, and more are coming March 7th. Now, I want to mention that because we're gonna get into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo now, and then I also want to get into Spider-Man 2. So
Sure.
I just wanted to mention that little fact that, hey, by the way, because you just finished it, are
Right.
you gonna be playing this New Game Plus with Spider-Man?
I don't know. I think I'm probably done with it. I did have someone in our group tell me that there is a side quest that I might have missed that's really interesting. So I might go
Okay.
back and do that. But otherwise, there's so much to do in the map still that I didn't do. Just like, don't really feel the need to go back and do all that stuff.
Okay. Now back with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, I mean, this watching the state of play just went into what all this said. It doesn't ruin anything. There's no story
Oh, okay.
context you're gonna like see or be worried over or anything like that. It's all just explaining the stuff you read here of just, hey, sort of how are they gonna handle the open world, which I've been curious as well. Seeing this really shows off how they're gonna do it, and it's far broader than I was imagining. I thought there was going to be maybe like, I don't know, like, okay, not as far as like maybe 16 where it's like, or like 10 to where like you bring up a map and you just kind of select where you want to go. I was assuming you were going to be able to like maybe walk between different regions, but then maybe when you hit like an edge, it goes to a different region. Or I don't know how they were going to handle, like, how do you actually just walk around these different things? But you really are. You could, unless you hit water, and then you would have to have a vehicle to then get in the water and continue on till you reach land again. But the entire region of 7 is accessible outside of just different vehicles or things you may need to access this or that. But it's not like segmented off or anything. So do
Sure.
know the entire map is like accessible and it's one big open world. So I'm pretty stoked on that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
coming from 7 Remake where it's just a single city, like Midgard, and then like this is like I don't even know how to put it. I mean, you're talking 20, 30, 40 times the size, if not larger, because it's like way more than just a single city. You're talking about the entire map being able to explore. And you can tell as they're like going across the land, like when they pull up a map or something, like let's see how big the cursor actually moves over the map to try to judge how far you'd actually really be walking or running or riding. You're going to be riding on truckbos to get around quicker or using vehicles and stuff like that. So the map is going to be quite massive if you were to just try to walk from like one edge to the other. You know what I mean? So very stoked on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I guess we'll get into it now. But
Yeah.
I did play the demo, and okay. So again, I had made a post that you guys all interacted with. It was very strange because, and I'll also talk about Final Fantasy 16 in a minute. But 16, I had kind of a roller coaster with. Right at first, I was like,
Yeah.
"Damn, not that high on it." Then I
Which
ended up
I'm
absolutely
glad you
loving it.
did because you
Yeah,
incentivized. I want to play now, but continue.
no,
Yeah,
I'm glad because it seems like talking to you and talking to Dave, I feel like I've kind of like maybe given you guys an idea, like, oh, maybe I should try this out. But anyway, there are a lot of things that I like in Remake better than 16. However, one thing that I do kind of prefer to 16, and it only made me see 7's controls a little differently after playing 16. The controls are fine in 7, but I like the controls in 16 so much more that playing that and beating it and then going straight to the demo, I was like, man, of course it's gonna feel weird at first because it's different. We all know that, obviously. But the more I played, I'm like, man, I wish they could. They're making both these games, right? I wish they could take some good from Remake, kind of throw it into 16 and vice versa. So that was the very first thing that stood out to me. But that being said, as I played,
let's stick
go
with
ahead.
that because
Yeah.
I talked on this on the last episode that I recorded there of I
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a
mentioned
chance to
your
hear that.
post even of like, and I'm just like I I don't think you're seeing this thoroughly, and let me try to explain this here. You can't, if you were to do what you're asking, it would hurt the game. Because what
Okay.
you have to do in 16, when you attach skills, you can only attach so many skills because you only have so many buttons to map.
Of course, yeah.
7 Remake and this game, again, like Kingdom Hearts, imagine you're playing Kingdom Hearts. Forget any other game here. You know all the
Right.
skills and spells and items and all that you have to be able to
Sure.
access on the fly. If you
Right.
were to try to map like 3 or 4 skills instead of having access to like 20 skills or 30 skills by the end of the game, it'd be too
Sure.
hard to manage. You need to be able to actually select magic and then go through a list and sort of like easily sort through and select what you need on the fly. I don't
Right,
want to be
right,
hitting pause and swapping out.
right.
Oh, well, I want poison the bio 2 instead of like ice 3 or something like that, right? I want to be able to access them all while I'm playing. And the only way to achieve that is if you're actually selecting through the menu. And what button would you want? You would want X because that's the easiest button to hit. So I can't
Well,
really imagine a scenario to where like I'm able to assess all the skills that I need to be able to, all the items I need to be able to, all the strategies that involve Final Fantasy 7, like combat system, but now it's reduced down to just a few number of skills I can use or a few number of magic moves I can use. It would
no,
hurt the game
I get what you're
tremendously.
saying. I guess one thing that I don't think would hurt the game is if you don't. Okay, there's two options, right? You don't have to make it so everyone has to play in this way because you're right. Some people might not like that. Okay, fine. But why is it that games on console in general you can't just map it however you want? I don't see how that would be a problem.
You're not going to
Like,
have
what if
enough
I
buttons.
I'm sure. Okay, so if you try to do it and it doesn't work out, then fine. Then it's got to be. You know how like on when you change controls on PC and it says like this is not mapped or whatever, and it doesn't let you exit the menu. I'm sure you could figure something out in some fat because it looks like you can remap buttons on PlayStation, but you got to do it. You have to do it every time,
Think
right?
of Final
For
Fantasy 7 with the materia, right?
right,
Each weapon and armor can equip materia. So you could have, let's say, 10 on a weapon, 10 on a piece of armor. You got 20 skills right there alone, much
sure.
less whatever items you could also use in battle. much less your other party members. So you're talking about 40, 50, 60 things to be able to choose between when you're about halfway through the game, between what different characters' moves are, including your own moves are, including combat moves, including spells, including all that. Like, you have a lot. A lot,
Sure,
a
sure.
lot. I
What if I
just
just don't
can't
like X as
imagine.
what if I don't just don't like X as the button? Like, why can't you let me put it as another button? Can I just flip
Yeah.
flop something?
I
You
guess
know,
you
I guess
could
that's
assign maybe like 2 or 3 skills to triggers, maybe,
sure, sure, sure.
but that would
I
only
mean,
be
either
two
way,
or
this
three
is
moves. I can't
no,
imagine a
either way.
scenario
Listen,
how
this
this
is
would
I
work.
get what you're saying. This is such a small thing, though. This is not like something that made me like, oh my god, I don't want to play the demo. No, it wasn't like that at all. Just
Yeah,
just my
yeah,
thoughts at the
yeah.
moment. But that being said, I did play the demo, and it had been so long since I played the original Final Fantasy VII. So a lot of this stuff I kind of just honestly just forgot about it. Like I forgot about a lot of the stuff that happened in their town there during the demo, and it was really cool to see it all again and bring it all back to top of mind. And yeah, so I really enjoyed the demo, and I'm excited for the full release now. So
Okay, so this demo though, they go over right when you leave Midgard, you go into Calm, and then it's just Cloud going over his memory of like with Sephiroth and how he went bad and all that, just like the original game did. Same beat for beat in this because you need Cloud to tell the story of whatever happened in Nibelheim and all that. So this demo's not going to show anything new yet because we're just playing a flashback based off of what Cloud is discussing. Which what Cloud is discussing isn't going to be any different because he's not even aware of things being like now, without going to spoiler, just different. Aerith knows, Sephiroth knows, the rest of the party doesn't in terms of what's going on with time and planet and all of that stuff. But Aerith is a part of the party, so this is going to bring a really interesting layer to it all. Anyway, but as far as the demo is considered, it's still just him going over the memories, so all that's going to be the same. But it's really, really neat because this is one of, like, if you were to pick, like, a top 5 moments between the original game, this would be up there in terms of the town burning and Sephiroth walking through the flames and all that bit, right? It's like a very
yep,
pivotal moment and
yep,
discovering that he may not be human and all this stuff.
sure,
So,
yep,
super cool.
that was cool.
I don't know how much you explored, but there are little bits of like you can go into Tifa's house and play on the piano, or you can go into your mom's house and there's a whole scene that plays out with your mom. There's a lot of extra things for you to explore within Nibelheim that you may not have
Hmm.
discovered, depending on how much time you just sort of dug into this or that. But it's also neat because in the original game, it's like maybe 3 scenes or like 3 screens of you walking through of like, oh, you're walking up the mountain. Oh, a bridge scene. Oh, we're here at the reactor, whatever. But actually walking through the mountain and this and given the full scope of everything, which again, this world is going to be massive if you just apply that same scope to just any other area that you have to go to. You're talking, I mean, I was looking into the data of this game because I know it's going to be 2 disc Blu-ray, and I was like, what does that really mean necessary in terms of size? I was like, well, how big is a Blu-ray disc? Apparently, single layer Blu-ray disc is 25 gigs, but you can dual layer and make it 50. But apparently, you can also add as many layers as you want, and it could be like 200 gig per disc. So there really is no telling exactly how big. I just know it all depends on like cost of like, well, how much do you want to spend in manufacturing of these discs? But I'm imagining, maybe it's 100 gig per disc and then 200 total, something like that. I'm very curious about the overall size of this game when you install it. I do want to go physical. I haven't bought any PS5 games physical, but this game's just too important where I just do really badly do want to buy it physical. But I am curious when I pop that disc in, am I going to install on the SSD or am I going to be playing from the disc? I'm a little curious on that level. But either way, I would assume it would still want to install because I don't know how you're going to get like the fastness of the SSD, but you're playing from a disc. A little curious on that front, but
Yeah, I think I've started to kind of act the same way on my PS5 as I do on my computer, which is, well, if I'm not playing the games, I just delete them anyway. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. So I always find the space either way. But yeah, I assume it'll take up quite a bit on there. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I guess now that I've mentioned it, Final Fantasy 16
Yeah.
as well. Was funny going from one to the other, and with Spider-Man in between, obviously. But yeah, man, I ended up really loving this game. I came around so much on it. I think that there are a few. So let's address the things that we knew were good already, right? Like we knew the story was good. The story continued to get better and better. The characters were really good, and they also got better, and they introduced some more that I really liked. They even got to the point where some of the NPCs just around the hideaway, um, that were kind of just there. By the time I was done with the game, ended up being like really awesome characters. Um, let's see, the music was fantastic from start to finish, and I think even way back when we would agree that the boss battles were like really epic and really cool, right? So all that stuff either remained good or got better. Now the things that I had a problem with, um, definitely had some solutions. I thought the side quests absolutely sucked in the beginning, and I know we were joking around about that, but they really, really picked it up and they got much better. I almost feel like they could learn from this in the future and maybe put some better side quests at the beginning. If you want to throw some crappy ones in there in the middle, fine. But the way you're starting off, I've seen way too many people complain that the side quests are bad in this game, and unfortunately, they might have stopped too early. So that was the first thing that got way better. And then the second thing is we had a complaint about there's no exploration, there's not that much customization. So to address the customization thing first, the game still does not have a lot of customization when it comes to your weapons or things you equip, but all the customization lies within the icons. Like once I started realizing that, it kind of changed everything for me. For a while there, I was just using like the fire icon and some moves here and there, whatever. When I really started going and really being strategic about which moves to use and how to use them and what succession and everything, then the battles got so much better, right? It's like hit him with this combo and then this fire thing and then the Ramu and then you know what I mean? Like you start using all of them and then you see it is much deeper than I gave it credit for at first. So that got way better and I ended up really loving it. If you went and did all the side quests and the hunts and everything, you would get to a really high level by the end, but some of that optional content is really challenging. Like doing all the hunts was really hard. There was like some really tough enemies, but it was fun. It was a
Cool.
lot of fun as a challenge, So definitely a lot for you to do. I remember Final Fantasy 15 had the hunts. And I remember I got way into it. This game also does a good job with it. And
Yeah,
really
I did all of the hunts in 15. Well, until like maybe DLC later, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do those, but I did do all the hunts.
Yeah.
I'm glad they brought that back. I think that was an essential part of the game. And then the last thing, and it wasn't until I had a conversation with someone else that I was wondering, I was like, why am I all of a sudden okay with kind of the lack of exploration, right? The more I thought about it, I'm like, I think this Final Fantasy is just, it gives you something different where I'm almost okay with it. It's like, I was expecting the big exploration because it's Final Fantasy, obviously. But the more time that went by, I kind of became okay with like the hub areas and do I really want to go sit here and explore a whole world when I'm having so much fun doing these other things? I don't know. I feel like by the time I got to the end, I realized that maybe I was okay with this direction that they're taking with their mainline series as opposed to how it was before, So I don't know, man. I ended up coming around a lot on it, obviously, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
And I think the story, especially in the characters, is the best part about the game. So yeah, I still think about it all the time, which is definitely a sign of a good game there. So yeah. If you come back to it, we'll have to definitely talk about it.
I will, because again, I said a million times, but I want to clear through all the games, and I'm at least halfway through it. So I would finish that before I would jump to another Final Fantasy outside of my favorite game of all time. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Can't skip that.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to jump to like 4 or 5 or something like that before I do 16.
Yeah, so, and then lastly, it's so funny because it's like I went back to my PS5, I went crazy on it, and now I'm probably going to ignore my PS5 for at least for a few weeks until Rebirth comes out. But I went back to Spider-Man 2 and I beat it. And I got to say, Spider-Man 2 for a good while in the beginning, like let's say the first third of the game is a good game, right? But it's very much just feels like the first game. Um,
Well,
but
I was down on 16, but I am not down even slightly on Spider-Man 2. It's just, hey, when I get around to it. I'm
right,
just
right, right, of
not
course.
like super
No, that
hyped
that
or
makes
something, but I'm not like down in any way on it.
that makes total sense because the game, from the trailers and everything, it does very much look very similar to the first one, right? And so when I played this, before I finished Final Fantasy 16, I played for this game for about 6 or 7 hours. I was like, okay, it's fun. But man, when I went back to it, some of the story stuff started getting really crazy and really cool. Like I saw the influence from other Sony games in here. Like the set pieces were really awesome, really cool like moments, with Miles and Peter or whatever. But as you got really farther into the story, it takes like a big turn, and even gets pretty dark at times, and it starts getting really crazy. Like I really loved where it went. And so that kind of elevated it for me, By the time I
Cool.
was done, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I kind of like the direction they took this in. A lot of big changes that will probably surprise people. Um, and besides that, obviously the abilities, you had your standard abilities that were really cool off the bat. But again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's some things that happen that give you some really awesome abilities that are like brand new and very different than what you experienced before. So that kind of pushed it up for me as well. So yeah, by the end, I really ended up loving it. I will say though, I did not do what I did with Final Fantasy, where I got so into it that I did every side quest and every this and every, it didn't happen for me like that with this game. I think I was content with just doing the main storyline, some side stuff here and there, and then just being done with it. So
Cool.
yep, ended up really enjoying it though. So
I looked on Final Fantasy 7, so how many magics? So there's 54 magic spells in Final Fantasy
wow,
7. That's just spells, much less like your actions. So then actions, you have attack, limit, 2 times cut, 4 times cut, a slash all, a flash, summons, items, changes, defense, steal, mug, sense, coin, throw, morph, deblow, manipulate, mine, e skills. So it's like you're talking 60 something things to choose between. And,
mm-hmm.
maybe they don't include everything in this new game, which if anything, they're adding more because even in this demo, I noticed like there was materials that didn't exist in the previous or renamed or just brand new ideas even. So we may even have more than that at the end. So again, I'm still having a very hard time wrapping my mind around all of these actions being able to be done within an action combat system of you have like 4 to 6 buttons maximum to like choose whatever moves between. I just feel it'd be impossible.
Sure. Sure. I mean, I guess it's a moot point anyway because they're not letting us change anything. So I'm definitely playing it the way that they set it up. So
um, I want to get into Scavengers Reign because I've been watching
yeah,
more of it.
please
I
tell me.
have 2 more episodes to go. I was kind of hoping I'd be done before we recorded, but I just finished episode 10. I think there's 12 total. And it's becoming like one of my favorite shows. I'm always like trying to convince friends to watch it and everything. Um, it's really, really good at showing how like an ecosystem works inside of a new planet with like all original ideas on like predator versus prey, how the planet even like grows or degrades, or like, I mean, it will weirdly spotlight a creature being born and dying with like a 10-minute time frame based off of this unique creature that somehow is on this planet, but that needs to take place to give energy to a specific plant that plays like a much bigger role and feed into some bigger monster thing or something. But it's so, the thought and care put behind its world is one of the best I've seen when it comes to just like a TV show. And yeah, it makes
That's
me
awesome.
wonder like I don't think they could do this in like a live action environment just
Okay.
because it's so complicated and weird. But I don't know. I love it in the sense of why I love Tears of the Kingdom is just because like the adventure of like what's around the corner, what's gonna happen next, wonder what's in here, wonder what's around the bend there, and it's that wonder that has you watching it more than anything else. It's not necessarily the narrative is cool, but it's so just tiny bits here and there, and is way more about um I don't know, like you're playing Zelda or like, and it's weird because One Piece is in the same vein, and One Piece isn't really about. And I've been watching a ton of it. I'm like 240 episodes now deep, and I'm realizing what's going on here, and yeah, it's just about the adventure side of it, not necessarily the narrative beats. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. No, that's awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. And it's funny I mentioned it and I still haven't freaking gotten around to watching it.
It gets pretty gruesome. There's definitely bits that are a bit hard to watch. They definitely go like really far, and it's I don't know.
I've heard some crazy stuff about it, so
I was about to say I don't know if a kid would watch, but at the same time, I think they would be totally fine because the only reason you would really truly understand what was going on if you um lived to tell the tale, I guess.
gotcha.
Otherwise, it would just kind of fly over your head anyway. So I don't know. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay. I'm very much looking forward to watching it, man. I've heard great things about it. I watched a little bit of the first episode, or I think I watched the whole first episode. Definitely had my interest, so
yeah, yeah. Um, I just that's about it. I mean, I played more Persona 3 Reload. I'm on the 48th floor. I forget. No, I think it's the 43rd floor, and then you hit another roadblock where you have to wait a bit before you can go further. But I'm really happy with this because my big worry and concern was like Persona 3's largest weakness is when you're in the tower going up floors and every floor looking exactly the same and you're getting really, really bored of the environment that you're in. It's hugely ramped up in 3. I don't know why people keep being like shy on mentioning this fact, or I've heard some people, well, won't ruin it. Maybe they want to keep it a surprise to people of like, oh yeah, it's the same ordeal, but then like maybe they want the player to be surprised that it actually is a big upgrade or something. I don't know, but I don't feel that's. I'll straight up say it's a gigantic upgrade, and I
yeah.
think if anyone's worried about ever heard about Persona 3 when it comes to its tower of just never ending floors of everything being the same and it's the worst aspect of the game, I think it has been fixed, and I don't think the game really has a flaw outside of that of like the original game. So now that that's fixed, like awesome, fantastic. Well, I mean, I guess the original 2 you weren't able to control your party members, and then you were able to in like the PSP version that came much later. But you can control your party members now, so I can't really think of anything that hasn't been addressed outside of them not releasing that the answer DLC side thing that they may release later. I think this is like a perfect version of the game, and I'm super happy because it's one of my favorite JRPGs. And yeah, I'm very curious why people aren't like discussing Tarius because I keep seeing it's a little better, but it's drastic shifts. Like, I mean, the first few floors, it's the exact same, and you're just like, oh god, here we go again. But it shifts pretty early on, and it already has shifted into the next style here. So I'm now in the second style of it. So I'm imagining maybe like 4 or 5 styles in total, and I don't know. I'm digging it.
Okay.
Really love the game. I mentioned that. Also, I've been playing here because the first game on this new game watch, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, came out the 16th. I have been playing that.
Okay.
I love it. I mean, I am a big fan of the original GBA game, so of course I'm gonna like this. I mean, the reviews again, it's like sitting in the eights. I don't know what. It's no groundbreaking experience or anything. It's just a great puzzle game. I don't know. It's like I put it up there with like Toad Treasure Tracker and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just really fun Nintendo puzzle game at its finest. And if you like Nintendo puzzle games, I don't see why you wouldn't love this game. So
It looks fun. I
I
like the
like,
old one, so yeah,
yeah,
why not?
I like it a lot here. God, dang, we're already this close. I didn't realize we're this close.
Yep.
Rebirth is next week, dude. Not next week, but you know this episode publishes
end of, yeah.
the third this Thursday, and then the
Pretty
following
crazy.
Thursday is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So
I can't wait,
we're
man.
getting here. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons remake, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC. Great game, coming out the 28th. Star Wars Dark Forces remastered, all platforms, February 28th. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, February 29th, PlayStation 5.
Very exciting. Can't believe we finally got it here. So do you think now, oh my God, that Brothers remake too. God,
Yeah.
it just slipped by me for a second. Do you think at this point that I know obviously we haven't played all of Rebirth yet, but do you think we're gonna get one more game or two more games after this?
One more.
One more.
Okay, one they already said it's 3 games.
I know what they
total,
said, but you never know. I just didn't know it.
But yeah, I could see it because like remakes the only thing to where like you could play without playing the original and you'd be fine until you see the very end, and then you're like, oh, what's going on here, right? And then more questions to answer, so you're fine. I think you can even play this demo and be okay because again, we haven't actually got to new material yet. It's just the flashback bit. But if you play Rebirth, I mean, the title alone, I mean, it's not a remake. Okay, these 3 games are not a remake. The original is like a meta of like remake because it's like, you know, before things really like break through and it's realizing it's all new stuff like that. And for the most part, it's repeating it. So I get why they would title that, but I don't know. I mean, unless you just, you know, if you don't care whatsoever and you just want to play it, like, sure. But it's a, I think the original is still just a great game. I mean, the graphics are terrible on the characters and stuff like that if you try to play a new thing, but maybe try to play it on like a portable system to try to help with that or whatever. But I don't know. I think you're just really hurting your, so once you play this and you go back and play, you know, you're just playing part 2 before you play part 1. Like I'm trying to think of a series like Metal Gear doesn't work that way because they're all sort of like separate in their own things.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you're playing this. What I mean, what's a series that has a direct sequel? I mean, I'm just trying to think of like a funny comparison here, and I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking of
because
one
it's like
too.
Halo 1 to 2. I mean, I guess 2 takes place immediately after 1, but it's not that critical, I don't feel.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank too.
And now I'm just finding it funny. Like, why can't we think of a video game sequel? Okay. Is a perfect example. The first one that came up here, Mass Effect 2. I think you'd be an idiot playing Mass Effect 2 before playing Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, I mean, totally, because the whole beginning sequence would be like, what the frick is going on here?
Okay, Uncharted 2 before Uncharted 1.
There you go. There you go.
That, I mean, that's just more continuing of the same characters, and you would have no context. I mean, Red Dead Redemption, you could swap 1 and 2. Just we know why, but just hold off on that. But yeah, I just don't think it makes sense whatsoever to play this game without playing the first because I'll just keep saying a million times, but it's definitely a sequel and not a remake. And if you're curious, maybe don't look into it too much and just try to trust people and go play that. if you just really don't want to play a 30-40 hour JRPG, because that's about the length of it, maybe 50 hours at most. Um, Watch a recap then, something, dude.
Yeah,
Because
agreed.
you're about to get spoiled hard when this game drops. So
Oh yeah.
just be prepared. When you're playing remake, when Sephiroth come back and messes with you, and then at the very end you realize what's going on there, and I don't think I know know way more context than the average person because I'm constantly watching videos and trying to understand its lore and all that, and I spent a lot of time and investment in it. But even without knowing any of that, when you're playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and Sephiroth is coming back to you and messing with you and all that, he's already aware of the original game, what all takes place, and he's trying to make things be different this time around because he knows he loses. But then there's this whole side conversation on like, well, did he actually really lose and all that? And I'm not going to get into that. But on a
Right.
ground-based level, it also is going to go into a second timeline with Zack being alive and all of that. That it's also going to be going back and forth a lot with. And if you don't even know, so when you play this demo, did you catch what was going on with Cloud? Like, did you catch the hints there? Because I'll go ahead and
Hmm.
say, I mean, this is not going to ruin anything.
No, go ahead, mention because I don't know if
Because
I know exactly what you're
it
talking
was
about.
Zack and not Cloud when you play the demo. So when he's doing the
Oh,
squats, you're supposed to catch that it's Zack.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually didn't catch that. To be honest, I had a
Cloud
bunch of
is
stuff
the
going on
other
in the house.
character in the armor, and you don't actually see his face. But when you talk to him, he
Ah,
actually has the same. It's the same voice actor. Even it is Cloud.
that's interesting. Okay.
So when the character you're running around with is actually Zack, not Cloud, because he's retelling. Of course, he's telling that it's him because he wants people to believe that it's him.
Right,
But you're not
right.
actually Cloud in that demo, and
That's interesting. Okay.
it gives a lot of a lot of clues to that the entire time. Even when you're like laying on the ground there and like getting closer and closer to the fire,
Oh
it
yeah, when you're crawling over.
jumps to somebody else on the ground as well, and it's from a different perspective, and
Right.
that's not to imply, oh, that's not you, that's Zack, and then it jumps to you and says something as well. So there's a whole lot of clues if you really dig in, but just know that yeah. So there's as this game goes on, if you don't have context of the original game, you're going to be very lost on a lot of things. And again, I just feel it's like playing Mass Effect 2 without playing the first. And you can, but you're not going to know who this character is. You're not going to know motives behind this or that. You're not. There's so much that you're going to be.
Right. A lot missing.
Yeah, yeah. So
Interesting. Okay. I'm
just be
still
aware.
saving that video, the one that you told me to watch. I'm gonna check it out very soon now. Here, I've been like saving it so it could be fresh
Yeah, yeah,
before I
yeah.
play the new one. So,
All right. Well, I'll do it for this episode.
alrighty. I'm gonna attempt to check out Helldivers 2 to see what it even looks like to see if the server is even working or what. Because my
Yeah.
buddy told me he sat there for a half hour a little while ago. So,
Mm.
yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it's this whole debate of like, look, why wouldn't they? Why not just be ready? Why not they just have the server space for all these players coming in? But I really think they just weren't prepared for as many
Hey, probably didn't
people.
expect it. Yeah.
And apparently I'm looking into it more, and they're saying stuff like it's not even a matter of how many people can be on there at once. It's a matter of people logging in or something like that. Like they can only fit like I don't know. I want to say it's like a few thousand every 20 minutes or something like that, and to initially log in, and then it's because it's causing a problem because of that. Because there's even that many people just trying to initially log in or log out. That's messing with it all. Not necessarily the fact that it can't just hold the total number. I don't know. It gets into the weeds and all that, and I was sitting there just interested on just because it's like, come on, guys, just we've been through this rigmarole for like
Right.
what 20 years at this point. A new online game comes out and it has server problems because people can't connect. And it's like you're Sony, you should have the money and bandwidth to just be able to handle something like this. But I guess they just really, really weren't prepared and weren't expecting too much from this.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just keeps going. I see that I just saw an announcement not too long ago that said they're going to cap the concurrent players at 450,000 right now while they figure this out. It's crazy.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week.
All right, later.